the only 5 dumbbell exercises you need for a perfect chest. If you feel your chest isn't developing in line with your effort, the problem likely isn't your dedication or the effort you're putting into training. Most people make the mistake of choosing popular exercises without understanding how different regions of the chest work and respond to stimuli. Basically, the pectoralis major has fibers with completely different orientations. Some angled downward, others horizontal, others almost vertical. Anyway, I don't want to get into that boring part. The point is that each one requires specific movements to be maximally activated. But let's be honest, not everyone wants to study anatomy, and others don't like the gym environment. That's why today, you'll see the only 5 dumbbell exercises you need to develop a complete, symmetrical, and admirable chest, all grounded in science so you don't waste time with guesswork. Before we begin, please tell us through the comments your name and the city where you're watching our content from. We'd love to know why dumbbells are already enough. Before we dive into specific exercises, I need to make one thing clear. You don't need Olympic bars, expensive machines, or sophisticated equipment to build an impressive chest. Dumbbells alone offer everything you need to stimulate maximum hypertrophy. The first major advantage is the stabilization requirement. When you use dumbbells, each side of your body works independently, which means your stabilizer muscles need to work intensely to keep the weights controlled. This not only recruits more muscle fibers, but also corrects natural asymmetries that we all have. With a barbell, the stronger side compensates for the weaker side, perpetuating imbalances. With dumbbells, this simply doesn't happen. Additionally, the range of motion that dumbbells provide is substantially greater. When you lower a barbell in the bench press, it touches your chest, and that's the end of the line. With dumbbells, you can go beyond that point, stretching the pectoral fibers even more and generating mechanical tension in a range that no barbell can reach. This additional stretch in the eccentric phase is responsible for much of the muscle growth stimulus. Another frequently overlooked point is wrist freedom of movement. Dumbbells allow you to adjust your grip as needed, whether neutral, pronated, or any angle in between. This not only protects your joints, especially your shoulders, but also allows you to find the perfect angle to feel maximum contraction in the chest. And you know what that means in practice? That with just a pair of adjustable dumbbells and an adjustable bench, you have everything to set up an extremely efficient chest workout at home, without needing a gym, without waiting in line to use equipment, and without spending a fortune monthly. Now let's get to the exercises that will really make a difference. Exercise number 5, incline dumbbell press. It may seem cliché to start with this exercise, but it simply needs to be at the top of the list for a very specific reason: the difficulty that the overwhelming majority of people have in developing the clavicular pectoralis, that upper portion of the chest that creates the impression of a complete and voluminous chest. The incline dumbbell press primarily works the clavicular portion of the pectoralis major, with secondary activation of the anterior deltoids and triceps. Choosing a steeper incline, around 45 degrees, directs even more stimulus to this upper region. This happens because the upper fibers of the chest have a descending orientation and are responsible for shoulder flexion. The greater the bench incline, the more these specific fibers are recruited to move the load. To execute correctly, adjust the bench to a 45-degree incline. Sit firmly with your feet flat on the floor and grab the dumbbells. Raise them to the starting position above your chest with your arms extended. Lower the dumbbells in a controlled manner, keeping your elbows at approximately 45 to 60 degrees from your torso. This angle is crucial. Elbows too wide place unnecessary stress on the shoulders, while elbows too close transfer excessive tension to the triceps. Lower until you feel a good stretch in the upper chest. Allow the dumbbells to go slightly beyond the line of your torso if your flexibility permits, and then push the weights back up, focusing on contracting the chest at the top of the movement. One tip that makes a difference is to imagine you're pushing the dumbbells slightly toward each other during the ascent. This increases activation of the pectoral fibers. The main mistakes to avoid are using too low an incline, which reduces upper portion recruitment, excessively arching your back to take stress off the chest and put it on the shoulders, and using weights too heavy that don't allow full range of motion. Execute 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions with moderate to heavy load. Contraindications include rotator cuff injuries, shoulder instability, or persistent pain in the glenohumeral joint. If you feel shoulder discomfort, reduce the bench incline to 30 degrees or adjust elbow width. Exercise number 4, floor dumbbell fly. The fly is universally recognized as one of the best exercises to stretch and really feel the contraction of the pectoral muscles, but many people avoid it due to the risk of shoulder injury when performed with exaggerated range of motion. The brilliant solution is to do this movement on the floor, which works as a natural safety net, limiting range of motion at the exact point where the shoulders would begin to suffer excessive stress. This exercise intensely targets the pectoralis major throughout its entire length, with emphasis on the middle fibers, while also working stabilization of the anterior deltoids. To execute, lie on the floor with your knees bent and feet supported, holding a dumbbell in each hand. Extend your arms above your chest with your palms facing each other. Keeping your elbows slightly bent, open your arms laterally in a controlled manner until your elbows or the back of your arms touch the floor. This is your maximum and safe range of motion. Biomechanical studies show that keeping the elbows more extended, though not completely locked, increases the moment arm and consequently the mechanical tension on the chest, generating more muscle activation. From this stretched position, contract the chest to bring the dumbbells back to the top, thinking about bringing your biceps together rather than just raising the weights. This thought allows you to feel the contraction and shorten the muscle fibers even more at the peak of the movement. An interesting variation is to hold the contraction for 1 second at the top before lowering again. The main mistakes are using excessive load that forces you to bend your elbows too much, transforming the movement into a disguised press, performing the movement too fast without control in the eccentric phase, and not maintaining constant tension in the chest. Execute 3 to 4 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions, prioritizing mind-muscle connection over absolute load. Contraindications are the same as the previous exercise: rotator cuff injuries or history of shoulder dislocations. If you have limited shoulder mobility, this floor exercise is perfect because the surface naturally limits your range of motion to the safe point. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. Having constant access to science-based information is what will make you progress healthily in the long term in the world of exercise. Exercise number 3, fly with rotation. This is probably the least known exercise on this list, but perhaps the most complete for working all functions of the pectoralis major. While most chest movements focus only on horizontal adduction, this one also includes internal rotation of the humerus, a primary function of the chest that is criminally neglected by most people. The fly with rotation intensely recruits the middle and lower fibers of the pectoralis major, with secondary activation of the anterior deltoids and surprising rotational work that completes muscle development. To execute, start standing or sitting on a bench, holding the dumbbells with a neutral grip, palms facing each other. Open your arms laterally as you would in a normal fly, maintaining slight elbow flexion. The difference happens on the way up. As you bring the dumbbells back to center, progressively rotate your wrists so that at the top of the movement, your palms are facing your feet. This rotation adds the internal rotation component of the humerus, making you work the chest in a more complete and functional movement pattern. On the descent, reverse the process, rotating your wrists back to neutral position while opening your arms. The combined movement of horizontal adduction with internal rotation recruits a broader spectrum of pectoral fibers than any traditional fly variation. The essential tip here is to start with light to moderate loads until you completely master the movement coordination. There's no rush. Perfect execution with less weight far surpasses careless execution with heavy load. The main mistakes are trying to use too much load before having adequate motor control, performing the rotation abruptly instead of smoothly and progressively, and losing tension in the chest by executing the movement too quickly. Execute 3 sets of 12 to 15 repetitions, focusing on movement quality and contraction sensation. Contraindications include tendinitis in the internal shoulder rotators or history of biceps injuries, since rotation can stress the long head tendon. If you feel any joint discomfort, maintain neutral grip throughout the movement or reduce the rotation range of motion. Exercise number 2, dumbbell pullover. There's an old debate about whether the pullover works the chest or back more, but science has settled this question definitively. Electromyographic studies show that the pullover activates the pectoralis major significantly more than the lats or triceps, especially when performed with partial range of motion focused on the stretched position. This exercise is particularly effective for the lower and inner chest region, in addition to providing chest expansion that no other movement can replicate. To execute most effectively, you can choose between two positions. The traditional one is to lie perpendicular to a bench, supporting only your upper back and keeping your hips low, creating a slight bridge. The alternative is to lie along the bench, as in a normal press. Hold a single dumbbell with both hands under the upper plate, forming a triangle with your fingers. With arms extended, position the dumbbell above your chest. Maintaining slight elbow flexion, lower the weight in a controlled arc above and beyond your head, feeling a deep stretch in the chest and rib cage. Here's the secret that few know. For best results and maximum tension in the chest, don't bring the dumbbell completely over your chest. Raise it only until it's just above your head, keeping your arms at approximately a 45-degree angle relative to your torso. This partial range of motion maintains constant tension in the chest, while bringing the weight fully above the chest removes the load from the muscles. If you choose to use heavier loads, the perpendicular position to the bench with low hips helps counterbalance the weight and protect the lower back region. The main mistakes are excessively flexing the elbows, transforming the movement into a triceps extension, lowering too fast without control in the eccentric phase, and using full range of motion that removes tension at the top. Execute 3 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions with moderate load, prioritizing controlled stretching. Contraindications include rotator cuff problems, shoulder instability, or severe thoracic mobility limitations. People with scoliosis or lumbar hyperlordosis should take extra care and possibly avoid very heavy loads in this movement. Exercise number 1, decline dumbbell press. We've arrived at the last exercise on the main list, and it's crucial to ensure you don't neglect the lower portion of the chest. By positioning yourself on a decline bench with your torso 15 to 30 degrees below horizontal, you intensely emphasize the sternal and abdominal portion of the pectoralis major. The lower fibers have an almost vertical orientation and are responsible for shoulder extension, exactly the movement pattern favored at this angle. Electromyography studies confirm high lower chest activation in this position, superior even to flat press in some cases. The great advantage of dumbbells over the barbell in this specific exercise is the considerably greater range of motion, allowing much better stretching in the eccentric phase without the bar limiting your movement by touching your chest. To execute, secure your feet firmly in the decline bench supports and lie down with your back fully supported. Grab the dumbbells and position them above your chest with your arms extended. You can use neutral or pronated grip according to your preference and joint comfort. Many people find neutral grip more comfortable at this angle. Lower the dumbbells in a controlled manner, allowing them to go beyond the line of your torso to maximize lower chest stretching. Push the weights back to the starting position, focusing on squeezing the chest at the top of the movement. A valuable tip is not to completely lock out your elbows at the top to maintain constant tension in the muscles. The main mistakes are using an excessive decline angle, greater than 30 degrees, which can cause discomfort and transfer undue tension to the shoulders. Lowering the dumbbells too fast without controlling the eccentric phase and not keeping your feet firmly secured, compromising stability. Execute 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions with moderate to heavy load. Contraindications are important here. People with high blood pressure or cardiovascular problems should avoid this exercise, as the decline position increases blood pressure in the head. Individuals with gastroesophageal reflux may also feel discomfort. If you have balance problems or inner ear issues, the inverted position can cause dizziness. Now that you know the 5 essential exercises, let's get to the bonus. Bonus exercise, decline push-up. I know this exercise departs a bit from the central theme of dumbbell movements, but it simply needs to be on this list for its absurd effectiveness in developing the upper chest, precisely the most difficult region to work. And the beauty lies in its simplicity. You only need an elevated support for your feet and your own body weight. The EIA decline push-up, also called push-up with elevated feet, predominantly works the clavicular portion of the chest, the anterior deltoids and triceps, with significant core activation for stabilization. The higher the foot elevation, the greater the activation of the upper chest, simulating the movement pattern of an incline press. To execute, position your hands on the floor at shoulder width or slightly wider, and place your feet on a bench, box, or any stable elevated surface between 12 and 24 inches off the ground. Your body should form a straight line from head to ankles, keeping your core completely contracted. Lower your body in a controlled manner, bending your elbows until your chest almost touches the floor, and then push forcefully back to the starting position. The key to maximizing upper chest activation is to keep your elbows at approximately 45 degrees from your body, not too wide or too close. Another valuable tip is to focus on lowering your chest toward your hands, not simply lowering your whole body vertically. This ensures the chest does the primary work, not just the shoulders. For progression, you can increase the height of the foot elevation, add weight on your back with a backpack or vest, or decrease the speed of the eccentric phase to increase time under tension. The main mistakes are letting your hips drop, losing the straight body line, and putting stress on the lower back, lowering only partially without full range of motion, and executing the movement too fast, losing the quality of muscle contraction. Execute 3 to 4 sets to technical failure or 12 to 20 repetitions, depending on your conditioning level. If you can easily do more than 20 repetitions, it's time to add external resistance. Contraindications include wrist injuries, since they support all body weight, rotator cuff problems or shoulder tendinitis, and lower back issues if you can't maintain core stability throughout the execution. If you have hypertension, be careful with prolonged inverted position. If you enjoyed this and want to also discover the best back workout, also using science as an ally, we have a video appearing right now on the screen showing each one of them better. Don't miss it. Thank you for watching this far, and may God bless you, my friend.